This video explains the 7th and 8th steps of the end-of-year process, where you decide how to process various items and charms for the new school year and finish closing out the current year. The 7th step looks at trips, fundraisers, fixed payments, the miscellaneous ledger, forms, your point system, your shopping cart items and unpaid or unfulfilled orders, and your helpers. It is broken down into several separate screens, but each item works basically the same. You are deciding how you want to handle the processing of each type of item going into the next school year. On Step 7A, your trips are listed. You must decide how to handle each trip you have set up in your system. You can skip this step to tell charms to simply close all trips without taking further action. But there are several options to help you manage the trips going into the next school year. You can select Yes next to close the trips if they are finished and you will not be collecting money for them in the next school year. Or you can select Yes for close and bill, and the system closes the trip, but forwards outstanding balances to the next school year. If you're repeating any trips, you can select Yes for recreate. This creates an identical trip for the next school year. If you collect money for a trip over more than one school year, such as for a trip to Disney every 2 years, select Continue. This option allows you to continue collecting money for the selected trip in the next school year. All transactions from the prior year will still be shown in the student's ledger. You can't close an item if you select Yes for Continue. When you have selected the appropriate option for each trip, select Process Trips. Select OK in the message. Then select Continue to Fundraisers. 7B is for fundraisers. All of your fundraisers are listed. Again, you can skip this step to tell charms to simply close all fundraisers. The same options are available as you had for trips. You can close and bill, recreate, or continue any of the fundraisers. When you have selected the appropriate option for each fundraiser, select Process Fundraisers. Select OK in the message. Then select Continue to Fixed Payments. Step 7C is for fixed payments. All of the fixed payments that you have set up in charms are listed. You can skip this step to tell charms to simply close all fixed payments. Just as with trips and fundraisers, you can close and bill, recreate, or continue any of these items. Recreated fixed payments will be billed to the same groups and students in the next year as they were previously. However, you may make changes to this by editing the fixed payment after the end-of-year process is finished. After selecting the appropriate options for each fixed payment, select Process Fixed Payments. Select OK in the message. Then select Continue to Miscellaneous Ledger. 7D is for the miscellaneous ledger. You can skip this step to tell charms to simply close all miscellaneous ledger items, or select Yes or No on whether to roll over your student miscellaneous ledger balances to the next school year. For each item you have listed, select whether to recreate an identical item for the next school year. When you have finished selecting how you want to process the miscellaneous ledger items, select Process Miscellaneous Ledger. Select OK in the message, and then select Continue to Forms. Step 7E is for forms. Any forms you set up in charms are listed. Select Skip this step to tell charms to simply close all forms. Or, for each form, you can choose whether to close it if you are finished with that form. You can recreate it if you want the same form with the same properties for the next school year. Or you can continue it if you started collecting it before school ended and you will continue collecting it when school resumes. Make your selections and select Process Forms to go to the next step. Select OK in the message, and then select Continue to the Point System. Step 7F is for the point system. You can skip this step and nothing in the point system will be changed during the end-of-year process. Or you can make choices on 2 items. Do you want to clear out or retain earned points? Select Yes for each student to start fresh, or No to retain points. You can even clear out all events by selecting Yes on the second option. That will clear out all student points and remove the events from your system. Select Process Point System to move on. Select OK in the message, and then select Continue to Shopping Cart. The next screen in Step 7 is for your shopping cart. Any unpaid orders are listed. Select Skip this step to tell charms to simply close all unpaid orders, or make a selection for each order. You can select Yes to bill the unpaid amount to next year's miscellaneous ledger. If you select No, the orders are canceled and the items are not removed from inventory. Select Process Unpaid Orders to continue. Select OK in the message, and then select Continue. 7H is for unfulfilled orders in your shopping cart. These items may have been paid, so review the screen carefully. You can select Print Unfulfilled Orders to open a report screen for these items, where you can print the report to help you fulfill these orders. Then select Continue to Shopping Cart Items. This screen helps you set up your store for next year. If you do not want to use any of the same store items next year, select Continue to Helpers to skip this step. Each item you have created in your online store is listed. You can recreate any item to tell Charms to create an identical item in the online store for the next year. You can also set stock to 0 to tell Charms to override the inventory amount and set it to 0. When you have finished deciding how to process each store item, select Process Items at the bottom of the screen. Note that if you do not recreate an item, it will not appear in your store for the next school year. Select OK in the message. Then select Continue to Helpers to move to the next step. 7J is for processing your Charms helpers. Each helper you have set up in Charms is listed. If you are not deleting any helpers, select Continue to close year. You can delete any helpers who will not be with you next school year. Next to each person you want to delete, select Yes. If you select No, the helper account will be maintained. When you have finished choosing the helpers to delete, select Delete Helper at the bottom of the screen. Select OK in the message. Then select Continue to close school year. You've arrived at the final step for the end of year process. This screen summarizes the actions that you have noted in the previous screens. If any of these items are not what you had planned, you can skip this step to cancel the end of year process and return to those screens, or start the end of year process over. If you are ready to close your school year, select the Click to Close the School Year button. Select OK in the message to continue. Congratulations! The end of year processing is complete. You are ready to begin your new school year. Be sure to check out our library of videos for help with other Charms Office procedures.